You're listening to the Beauty of the Business podcast, where our goal is to inspire and educate while we deep dive into the exciting world where beauty meets business.
Get ready for insightful conversations, empowering stories, and behind the scenes look at the powerhouse women shaping the new business world of today. Whitney, thank you so much for joining us today. We're so grateful and excited to have you and get to learn all of the ins and outs of your brain because it is quite a fascinating one. I want to first talk about how I came to find you, which was the Hairstyle TV show, Hairstyle Talent Show. And you were a finalist on it. And yes, congratulations.
Like mini congrats over here.
Amazing. So exciting. I want to learn how you came to find out about the talent show, what convinced you or inspired you to audition for it, and what that journey was like for you.
Well, thank you guys for having me. I'm so excited to be here as well. The TV show is a pretty crazy story. So as hairdressers and salon owners, we always have shampoo reps, right? So, and I feel like the shampoo reps are like the little birdies on the street that like know everything about everything.
That's
and they
so
just
true,
like
yes.
keep us all in the loop. Yeah. And my shampoo rep, we had just recently, I was carrying Redken and Pureology in the salon, but I noticed they were just like everywhere, like Target, Walmart, like, so I just was frustrated and I'd always heard, okay, diversion, whatever, we're going to get it. It just never happened. So I wanted to find a brand that was like a boutique brand that wasn't just everywhere, something that was like more exclusive to our salon. So my shampoo rep recommended Alpha Parf Milano. And so I was like, okay, it's Italian. That's cool, fun. We started carrying it and she was like, hey, Alpha Parf is putting on this like TV show. It's like a competition TV show. You should audition for it. And I don't even think she knew, but I had been asking for this forever, just like speaking it out into the universe. Because I was like a huge Tabitha fan. Like in hair school, we watched Tabitha Takes Over. So I was just like, we need a hairstylist on TV. We need them on TV. Like, I want a master chef or an ink master for hair. And so I'd been like putting it out into the ether. And the shampoo rep came by and was like, you should audition. But this was right at the same time that we were building out our brick and mortar location. Like, so I mean, if as salon owner, like that is rough.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that must have been really stressful. Timing couldn't have been more.
Yes.
I don't even know
And
what you
I
call it for
decided,
that.
yeah, and I don't even know why I decided to open up our location on January 1st, but we like had to be out December 31st and we were starting to take clients January 2nd
Oh my
last
gosh.
year. And the deadline to send in the audition was December 30th. So I was like, okay, I just have to film this 2-minute video, and I was like, I want it to be in the new salon so it looks pretty, whatever, whatever. So I finally get to film my 2-minute video and I put on a show. I was like, I had props. On my Instagram, you can see like where I was filming. I filmed me filming the audition show or the audition tape. And I like had a curling iron. I was like talking into the curling iron. I was like, I want them to think, I'm lively and fun and like, pick me. So sent that in and got an email maybe like a month later where they were like, hey, we need you to come to New York in 3 weeks for a live audition. And I was like, okay, well, I mean, we got to do it. But I was already booked for a wedding in Cancun. And so I ended up having to fly out the night of the wedding at like 3:30 a.m. to get to New York in time to audition. And meanwhile, my whole family and my husband thinks I'm crazy because the show has not existed before. So they're like, oh, this TV show, they want you to be on the TV show. And they're like, and there's no like, reference pages. There's no, hey, let's watch season whatever and see, like it's nothing. There's nothing on the internet about it. There's no reviews. They're just like, come to this warehouse on Broadway in New York, this date and this date. And I'm like, well, I mean, I hope it works. I mean, I hope it's legit. And so my husband went with me to New York, and he was like, put this air tag in your purse and, text me as soon as you get up there. But as soon as I got to the meeting location, I saw a bunch of other hairstylists. You can spot us a mile
Oh,
away.
absolutely. Absolutely.
And so I was like, oh, we're good. We're good. I was like, at least if we get taken, we're taken with everybody. Like, we'll be in good company. We're good. So
No one's
I saw
taking
the other.
hairstylists. We're too crazy.
I was gonna say, I
No,
feel
yeah,
like good
that's
luck.
that. Yeah.
They know better.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, we're good. So we go in, and there were 60 people that were called to New York. I think out of thousands is what they told me that auditioned. 60 people in New York, and we had to do a 30-minute fantasy updo live, which is just crazy because it takes me an hour to do like a good bridal updo.
Right.
And now you want me to make it fantasy? So thank goodness that earlier that morning I was like so nervous. I'm in the hotel room in New York, and I'm like looking up updo videos because I had seen that they had been doing they casted this show for other countries. And so I had like gotten some hints along the way that
Good
I
for you.
thought we might be doing an updo.
Smart.
So I was looking up, I watched a Sam Villa video, and he did this like bubble braid situation, and it was pretty quick. I got to do it. I didn't have to like prep the hair with curls or anything. So I put it all in bubble braids, pinned it all to the head, and then I threw a bunch of blue glitter on it. And I was like, fantasy. That's it. Um, and then so then they were like, okay, they just walk around with the paper clip. Producers are like above on top watching everything go down. And there's like all amazing hairstylists around. So like I am pretty confident in my skills, and I'm like 95% of my personality is hair. So I feel like I was like going in there prepared. I was like, oh, the hair part, I got that down. It was more so like, are they gonna like my personality? Are they gonna, am I gonna exude confidence to be on TV? And I turn around, and this girl behind me has twinkle lights installed in her fantasy updo in 30 minutes. I was like, oh no. I was like, oh no. I was confident until I saw that. And
We brought
I was
electronics
like,
into the situation.
yeah, I was like, what? And people brought props. I was like, some girl like pulled out a whole hair piece. I was like, oh no, I'm not gonna make it. So I was like, I left there feeling not confident. I was like, oh no. And I highlighted it on my Instagram, so you can go back and see where like my bubble braid, because it was like not my best work. So they told us, okay, all of you go back, go on a break, go to lunch, whatever. We're going to call half of you back for like immediately half is going to get cut, and we'll call half of you back for an in-person interview. So like all of lunch, we're just refreshing emails, like, okay, waiting for the email. Like, did we make it? Did we
So
not?
stressful.
Yes. And I'm thankful my husband was there, so I just went with him. But I did hear of some people that went to lunch together, and I think that would have been
That
worse
would be
because you
hard.
get some people that got it and some people that didn't get it like right
Mhm.
next to each other.
Yeah.
So I got the email. They're like, we want you to come back. Cool, great. So I was like, okay, I need to drink a margarita because I think I'm more funny if I have a little bit of tequila in me, and I need to like, show them who I am.
It's not
So we
just
go.
hair, you're also like having to think about the reality TV side of things. So it's like
Yeah,
personality and
personality. Like,
yes.
what am I going to bring to the table? So we ended up going, grabbed a margarita. My callback time was like 6:30. And so I get there, I'm like, okay, I'm ready, like refresh my makeup, like, okay. So I'm sitting here with all the castmates, and one by one, everybody is like getting called to do their interview. And I noticed that they had paired people up. So like there was two guys with like platinum hair and a dark beard. And then there was like me and another redhead. And I'm like, I'm seeing like people who look
Yep.
alike in pairs. So I'm like, okay, they're probably gonna pick between us. Like
Yep. You got
we
to
like
outdo
these
the girl
two
next
people
to
who
you.
look, yeah, but as a redhead, I see other redheads and I'm like, oh, so we're friends automatically because we both have red hair. So we get it. So me and the redhead girl next to me, we're just chatting it up. I'm like, so we're best friends now. We actually went out to eat afterwards. And so I was like, we're just chatting it up, chatting it up. And then they keep calling people. At this point, it's 9 p.m. I still haven't been called. And then they call my name and they're like, okay, Whitney, you're good to go. And I was like, good to go where? Like, I haven't done my interview yet. And they told me that they got me confused with the redheaded girl next to me because we were just chatting it up and I guess we looked similar. So they were like, oh, we forgot. Like, we had you down as a different name, like we had the different interview. So I think it worked out in my favor. I ended up interviewing at 9 p.m. By that point, the tequila was way gone, way gone. So I really I had to dig deep in my personality and be like, all right, Whitney, I know it's been a long day, but show them who you are. And so then I think it worked out my favor because I was the last interview. So I was like fresh on their mind out of 30 people. And then they were like, okay, in 2 weeks, we'll like make our final decisions. We'll send you an email. 2 weeks goes by, we hear nothing. And thankfully I made some connections there. So I was like, did y'all hear anything? You know, I'm like, maybe it's just me, but no, I like reached out to everybody. Nobody's heard anything. And what I've learned in TV is that everything in TV goes slow. So it's always delayed. So another 2 weeks go by and I got the email and they're like, we want you to come to Spain. You've been selected. There's 12 of you guys that are going to Spain, but only 10 will be on the show.
Oh,
So I
wow.
still at this point couldn't even get excited or really tell anybody about it because I'm like, I could be an alternate. Like I could get to
Just
Spain
waiting,
and
sitting on the bench,
Yeah.
waiting.
yes, and be an alternate. Like
Oh,
I can,
that's
and
hard.
yeah, because it was then like I don't want to like post about it. I don't want to talk about it
Mhm.
because then I'm like, if I get rejected, that'll be embarrassing. But I also have to get prepared to be on TV, and they're not giving us any information. They're not telling us how many days we're filming. They're not telling us how many episodes they are. So I know that I have to be there for 2 weeks, and they gave me 6 weeks notice. So I'm like, okay, worst case scenario, I need to be prepared for 14 outfits and like 14 TV outfits. So I'm like
Which were all
shopping. I
fantastic,
am
by the
like,
way.
yeah,
They
thank
were
you.
great. We loved
Oh,
it.
thank you. I worked so hard on my outfits, and thankfully Bo helped me because I had so many extras. So Bo is my neighbor.
Oh my God,
I
so
know.
cute.
He was my bestie. And so he was next door to me in my hotel room and I'd like go get dressed and I'd be like, Bo, what do you think? Is this good? And then he'd be like, not those shoes, these shoes. I'm like, okay, thank you. So he was my stylist there. But yeah, so they ended up um, had to get prepared, even if, and we got there, one guy didn't make it because he didn't get his passport in time. And then when we got there, we had to do these interviews. They separated the girls and the guys, and the interviews in front of the producers and all the girls, but no cameras yet. And they asked us a secret and like asked us to introduce ourselves and give a secret about us. And I knew that it was going to be a girl that would be an alternate because there was less guys than girls. And I figured it was going to be a redhead because there was 4 redheads. And like, there's no way they're going to cast 4 redheads. So I was like, there's a 25% chance it's me. And so I'm like stressed because that was my 2 rules. Like, I can't do an alternate and I can't go home on day one. Like, after that, whatever happens, happens. I'm cool with it. But
Absolutely.
like, those 2 things cannot happen.
Cannot happen.
So I'm like towards the end of the line. Everybody's getting up and they're kind of trauma dumping. They're like, my secret is I'm a survivor of domestic violence, or, I ran away when I was 16 and I'm like, I don't have like a crazy big, I'm like, I mean, how much time do you got? Like, do you want me to run you through the whole childhood? Like, are we trauma dumping? I'm like, so I was like freaked out. I didn't know what to say. And hairstylists are just notorious for having big personalities. So when you get in this room full of like the biggest personalities, the best in their area, it's a little intimidating. And so I just stand up and I was like, hi, I'm Whitney, and my secret is that I can mimic animal noises really well because it's like a secret
Perfect.
party trick of mine. And I was like, maybe I'll just go the funny route. Like, I'll tell them a
Amazing.
weird, random, quirky fact about
And
me.
I'm sure
And
after all the trauma dumping, that was like, oh,
Refreshing.
thank gosh.
Yes.
right. Well, and then I had to demonstrate my animal noises, so I had to do the least
So we're gonna
embarrassing
make
ones.
you demonstrate an animal noise now. You have to.
Well,
You
I
can't
can
bring it up and not do
try,
it.
right? Well, I can try, but last time I tried to do this, it did not come through on the Zoom.
That's
But
fair.
my birds are my least embarrassing ones, so I can do my birds.
Okay.
The dog bark, absolutely not. That's going to be a
That's
only
for
close
auditioning for
friends
TV
and
only.
family. Yes, yeah, exactly. I'm like, no, cannot do the dog bark. But I'll see if my bird whistle will come through for you.
Okay.
It came through at first and now it's not
Yeah,
coming
I
through.
did hear a little tiny
Yes.
bit, and the little bit I heard was
It was
spot
on point. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, great.
I would pick you for sure.
Oh, thanks. So yeah, so then that came through. I was like just nervous and I'm like, I don't even know what to say. So I try to make it funny and lighthearted. And they actually told me, they're like, we need more from you. And I was like, oh no. Because I think they were looking for the story. They're like, okay, she's funny or she, whatever. But like, we want a story. We want something that like, you know. And so I was like, I don't know, like I married my first boyfriend. I'm like kind of a nerd. I was in Girl Scouts till I was a senior in high school. I'm like, I don't know what else to tell you. Um, and so we leave the room and I'm like, I'm convinced it's me because I'm the only one they said we need more from. And I'm like, it's a 25% chance it's a redhead. It's me. I'm thinking it's me. And thankfully, after the deliberations, it was a different redhead. And I love her. She was great. She ended up staying in Spain with us.
Oh, cool.
But she just didn't end up getting on the show. But I was like, oh, okay, we can breathe. But then we went right into filming and all of that kind of stuff. So that was kind of like how it came to be.
Wow. I'll say I'm not typically like a reality TV person, but when I saw that Nikki and Rihanna were the host, I've been a fan of theirs for so long and love following how they run their salon and how they do their mentorship programs and their graduations for their assistants. Did you get to spend much time with them or get to chat, learn from them at all? Or was it kind of more disconnected?
Oh, it was pretty disconnected.
Yeah.
It felt like they were up
Yeah.
here and we were like when they had a whole trailer. So it was hot in June. In June in Spain, it was hot
And you're in
outside.
Spain. I had no
They,
idea.
I
I
didn't
thought
know
you
it
were
was
in
in
New
Spain
York.
either. Yeah, that's amazing.
yeah, well, because the backdrops are Chicago. And so
Oh,
every
okay.
day we'd get to the set and they would say, okay, guys, we're in Chicago. And like I even had a little situation with my first model because she didn't speak English and it was a consultation challenge.
Oh, wow.
But they told me I had to lie about it. Like I couldn't say on the show I had bad consultation because we had a language barrier. I had to say I had a bad consultation because I couldn't say that we were in Spain.
Oh, interesting.
That
Wow.
makes sense that because that one for the little girl challenge, one of the girls didn't really speak English.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
now that
Yeah,
makes
that
perfect
makes
sense as to why.
Wow. That's such a huge
Yes.
commitment, not just auditioning for a show and being in a different state, but you're in a completely different country for that whole time. Wow.
Yes. And my parents still thought I was getting myself human trafficked. They were like, you're gonna go to Spain by yourself for 2 weeks to be on TV. I'm like, yeah, they really got you, like we're gonna put you on TV. Actually, we're gonna kidnap you. And a guy in a van did pick me up from the airport, and the set was in a warehouse, like on the outskirts of Madrid. Like it
Wow.
really could have been a horror movie. Like it was like
Totally.
balance on the teetering on like, is this okay? Like, I wore my running shoes to the airport, and my husband wrote down the US embassy's like address and phone number on a piece of paper just in case they took my phone. So like we were
Wow.
like
You guys
fully
were
prepared.
prepared.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
that's amazing.
Yeah.
I'm surprised you still went with like that much of,
Hesitation or
yeah. I mean, I would be terrified if everyone was like, you're definitely going to be trafficked. You're like, no, TV show, I got it.
this.
I was like, I gotta take the chance. I'm like, they're gonna fly me out to Spain. I'm like, if I get kidnapped, I'm there, I'll get out of it. And if
You were a
anything, it'll
Girl
make for a great
Scout
story.
your whole life. Like you,
Yeah.
if anyone can do
Yeah.
it, you can do it.
Yeah. I'm like, I got this. It's fine. I'll scream for help. We're good. It'll make for a great story. It's fine. But yeah, we did get to see Nikki and Rihanna, which was super cool because I've always admired them and seen, their careers. And so we got to spend a little bit of time with them at the finale party. So I got some cute pictures with them. But for the most part, they were like on the stage
Yeah.
esque. I mean, they would come in, we were getting mic checked and stuff, and they'd be like, "Hey guys, how are you doing? Whatever, whatever." But not a whole lot of like one-on-one kind of time with them, but they were so cool.
I think my last question when it comes to the show is, did anything ever get addressed with the no hairspray thing? I was so curious the whole time. Like, what's the deal with no hairspray? Is it because of cleanliness help? Is it just a styling thing? What's the deal with no hairspray?
It's an Italian thing.
Oh, okay.
So, Rosano is an Italian man, and he hates hairspray. I think he really hates everything about American hair is really, I think. He thinks that we overdo our hair, like we over manipulate it, we over highlight it, that we over hairspray it. Like he hates all of it.
Does he know that you're
His
from
stuff is
Texas and that is what Texans do?
And also,
literally,
yeah.
Like, higher the hair, the closer to God, I think is what you guys say.
yes, yes. I'm like, hello? Um, and especially with the updos, I'm like, what? So that was weird. We were all, but like they hid the hairspray from us. They like put it in our trolley under things. So like if we're gonna put it out, but like we're gonna put it.
Was
And then
like
it was
texture
like, hey,
spray also on the hairspray no-go line?
yeah, no texture spray.
Wow, that's a sin.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a struggle for an updo
Yeah.
with neither of those
Yeah.
two.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was definitely because they did Brazil, Italy, Mexico, Spain, and US. And so I think the cultural differences from like because the production company was Spanish, like I think that there were some differences with language barrier and cultural differences that like had it been like an American made show in America with all American hosts, then I think we would have seen a little bit more of like true to what is normal for us. But it still was a super cool experience. Like just walking on set, I mean, thinking I was getting human trafficked and then walking on this crazy, beautiful set with like flying cameras around. And these
Yeah.
cameras are huge and they're like all up in your face and stuff. And so I'm like, whoa, this is crazy. So it was a really cool time. It was borderline traumatic though, I will say, like not in a bad way, just like everything was really heightened. Like emotions was heightened, everything went up, everything went down. It was just like it was a lot of intensity, I would say.
I'm sure.
What do you feel like was the biggest effect of like being a finalist? Do you feel like you came back and you're like, I don't know, following went up? Like what was your like great, or did you have like an aha moment that you learned while you were on the show that you like took away since, there were so
I
many ups and downs?
Yeah, I think I gained a lot of confidence in myself. I think that's probably the biggest like shift was in my mindset where I'm like, um, I really had to do something on my own. I had to face like the tensions between the castmates was pretty intense as well. And so
And you
that
handled
was
that so
like,
well, by the way.
God, thank you. That was actually, that's a whole nother story, but that was
That
that
might have
was
been my
rough.
favorite part. I was just trying not to say anything.
No, I was so proud that you stood up for yourself.
It was great.
Oh, I know. And what was not pictured was the days before leading up to that where I was being off camera bullied the whole time. It was just like constant picking, constant picking. Like I would win something and we'd get in the van and she'd be like, I didn't think you deserved to win that. I think so and so deserved to win that. And I'm like, cool.
Well,
I'm like,
thanks.
just keep your mouth shut. There was even one point we were in the van and she said something like she thinks she called my first haircut that it looked like Lord Farquaad. And Anthony, the blue hair poof guy, he like grabbed my leg and squeezed my leg. He was like, I know that was rough, but like, it's okay. I'm here. I was like,
Oh,
thank you.
Thank you.
So
so
it
sweet.
was, yeah, that was a whole rough situation. And so there was a lot leading up to that. And so it was like frustrating. And then what people didn't picture was like between that episode and the other episode, there was a whole weekend that went by. And so we had time like to like talk it out because it ended up being pretty uncomfortable just being around everybody because
Yeah.
we were beefing. And so
Mhm.
um, it ended up resolving itself, and we made up. But yeah, it still was not a comfortable time for me. So I think that gave me a lot of confidence. I felt really like, okay, I did this. I came here, I stood up for what I believed in. I did my best work. I think another thing that came out of it was I didn't really have any experience in editorial work. And so I thought that that was a really cool thing. I didn't think I was going to be good at it. And so I was like, oh, like we just don't get a lot of opportunities as hairstylists that work on regular women's hair to do editorial work. And so that's kind of helped me be some inspiration for a future project coming up, is like getting hairstylist opportunities to do editorial work. So that was cool. Um, Definitely I saw an increase in following for sure. But that's not like a huge metric to me. I'm more so concerned with like connecting with the people who are like-minded, like how I found you guys or y'all found me. It's like that type of thing has been really cool that I'm getting to. It's kind of attracting my people. Like-minded people are kind of like getting attracted to me, or we're getting connected. And so it's cool to see that come to fruition. And then I just have a really cool, crazy story to tell now.
Yes, such an accomplishment. Well, anyone who hasn't seen the show and is in the hair world or just really loves entertainment
Watch it. You
and
have to.
art,
It's
yeah, you
great.
have to watch it. It's so great. Whitney was amazing. And it's funny that you said that Bo was your bestie, because the first moment I saw him, I was like, this man might be an angel. He just seems like he has like the sweetest, kindest personality. And so I definitely got that sense with the both of you. You guys are really good people, and I'm glad that you guys made that connection through the show. That's really cool.
Yes,
Um,
me too. He's a lifelonger.
that's awesome. So, moving more into your hairstyling career, you're an owner of a salon, you're a hairstylist. Tell me your journey into becoming a hairstylist. Was it always your plan? Um, Salon ownership, was that always your plan? Tell us a little bit about that.
For sure. So um, growing up, I grew up in a little bit of a single mom struggling kind of household. And so I knew that I was not going to get college provided for me. And I knew that I just didn't want to live how I lived growing up. I was like, I want better for myself. And so I um I knew I needed to plan, and I played basketball and I sang in choir, but I knew I wasn't like really great at either of those things to like have somebody pay for me to go to college with those things. And my freshman year of high school, they announced that they were going to open up a cosmetology school in our district for high schoolers, and they would be accepting sophomores the next year. So I would have been the first one to enter the program. And I actually skipped that pep rally that they announced it at, and all my basketball teammates were there, and they came up. I was in the locker room probably doing my hair, and my basketball teammates came up and they're like, Whitney, you have to do this. Like, this is for you. You got to go to cosmetology school, because I was the hairstylist for the basketball team. I would be like straightening everybody's hair after practice, before school. And so everybody was like, this is for you. So I was like, okay, I'll check it out. So I ended up going to hair school in high school, but it was really only to pay for my college, because still at this point, I didn't know much about hairstyling. I didn't know much about the industry. And so I didn't know that you could make it a career. My whole family just told me, you got to go to college and you can do hair while you're in college. That'll be a good job while you're in college. I said, okay, cool. And then get done with hair school. I start out at my first commission salon, and I see my mentor is like 23, making six figures, putting her husband through college, and bought a house. And I was like, doing hair? What?
Mhm.
I was like, oh, I didn't know this could go down like that. And so then I was like, oh, now I know it can happen. And if she can do it, I can do it. And I have a lot of people that I'd love to prove wrong. So then it was just like a fire under me, where I was like, if she can do it, I can do it, and I can do it faster and better. So I was like, my goal was like six figures and buy a house before 23. Like I was just like wanted to beat her. Um, not just for bragging rights, I guess, or
Right,
just to be
of
like, if
course.
she did it,
Yes.
I'll try to beat it. Um, and so I ended up doing really well in that salon. I was working 4 days a week at 21 years old, I made $165,000 on a W-2 paycheck in my like 4th year doing hair. So I was
Amazing.
like rocking and rolling. This was the most money I'd ever, like, at this point I had out earned both my parents, and I was like, I just didn't know what to do with myself. I was like, this is insane. Like the hair, then I was like, I want to shout it from the rooftops. Hairstyle, like being a hairstylist is the best career. Everybody needs to do it. Like it's flexible. I work 4 days a week. Like I come in, I do hair, I post on social media, I go home, like easy peasy. I'm
Mhm.
like, this is great. I love it. And so, but unfortunately at that salon, the leadership was not there. And so, and I don't think the passion was there. I think a lot of people sign up for salon ownership because they think that's the next step in like success, where they're like, I've been a hairstylist for a while, now I'll be a salon owner. And I just don't think that that's like, or maybe they think they're going to make a lot of money, and it's like really the work that goes into it doesn't really, the input and output don't really correlate.
Mhm.
And so the salon owner was like really resentful. She would like write on the whiteboard in the back room, be effing grateful. And yeah, and like would say all the time that they're babysitting adults, and like so getting told that we're being babysat, and like they just didn't nip anything in the bud when it came to like bad attitudes or like bullying. And because I was so young and doing so well, I just wasn't really liked by a lot of my coworkers. And so it just became really toxic. And I would ask the boss, like I told her multiple times, I was like, please, can you help? Like, I don't like this. I don't want to leave, but like, this is really, hard for me. And she was like, well, it's lonely at the top, and donkeys run with donkeys and thoroughbreds run with thoroughbreds. And I was
Oh,
like,
wow.
Wow, thank you.
Yeah.
What?
Like as if she has no control over the situation.
yes. And so finally I told her, I was like, well, I got to go run with the thoroughbreds. Like, I got to get
Yeah.
out of here because you hired a bunch of donkeys, and apparently that's cool with you. So I got to
Yes.
go. And so I was looking at several other commission style salons. So I firmly believed like, and that's part of why I started what I started, because I wanted to be a commission stylist. I was making great money. I had zero responsibility. And I would have continued to do that for as long as I could, honestly. I got to do the fun stuff. I didn't have to worry about, client calling or booking or inventory or taxes or responsibilities. I mean, I had it made. So I was looking at other commission salons to go to, but none of them in my area were really a step up. It was very much like lateral move. And I'm like, if I'm going to make a move, I need to make a move.
Yeah.
So I ended up feeling forced into going into my own suite. And I'd always worked with an extra set of hands. And so I was like, well, you can come with me. And we started over there, and I started with one assistant, and I was like, well, I don't really know how to have a salon. It wasn't really my intention to build a team, but I really like you and I feel like we work well together. Like, I really don't have the money to pay you, but if you want to start, I'll pay you commission on what you make in my suite. Like, you don't have to pay rent, you don't have to pay for color, but like whatever you bring into the suite on my days off, like I'll pay you commission on that. Like, we just started going like that. And to this day, she still is a part of my team.
Oh, that's
That was
awesome.
4 years ago. And so we just started, building like that, and just kind of figuring it out as we went. I did a lot of like coaching and mentoring, and listened to Britt Siva, and I did a lot of the Summit Salon coaching. So
Mhm.
I got a lot of resources on the way there, but that's kind of how it came to be.
I love that. That's kind of similar to how I ended up owning a salon. I was also at a commission salon, which I loved, but same thing, like I was basically maxed out at what I could make there. People were starting to not really like me, of course. And when I looked for other places, there wasn't something that fit like an aesthetic or like my vibe, or felt like you said, like a step up and not just moving laterally. So I ended up having an opportunity to open a small salon, and kind of went into it like, okay, like I guess this is the move I have to make. Like, here we go. And it's been really fun, but also kind of crazy. I feel like, I mean, I think you and I are similar in age. There's like now they kind of skip the wanting to learn out of school process. And like it's hard to gear people back into like, oh yeah, you have to be open to learning when you jump into a salon. So I'm curious how if you experience that or how you kind of have deal with it.
That's funny. I don't think that I've experienced that because for me, a lot of people come, I don't know how y'all's hair schools are there, but our hair schools here are terrible. Like
They're
terrible.
not
And
bad.
Yeah.
they they knocked our hours down to 1,000 recently. So these people are going to
Oh
school and
wow.
they're only going to school for 6 months. And a lot of the people in the last couple of years I hired went to school online during COVID. So they don't know anything. And
Oh Jesus.
they are hungry to learn. So I haven't I haven't seen that necessarily because my people come in and they're like, and
Teach
that's
me
mostly
everything.
what they're looking. Yeah, they're like, I need a place that's going to teach me because I don't feel confident. And I tell them like, I know you don't learn anything. I'm prepared to teach you everything. It's fine. Like I'm not trying to hire the best hairstylist right out of hair school. I'm trying to hire the best character, the best attitude, the best work
Yep.
ethic. Like that's what I'm looking for. But I will say I have seen a shift where we're in this instant gratification world. And I think like when I went in, I didn't know what was possible to be a hairstylist, like what you could do in this career. I think now they see it all over TikTok and it looks like overnight successes. And then they
Right.
think, I need to be a 6-figure hairstylist in a year. But I try to tell them, I do a lot of like, okay, remember all of our friends that went to college for 4 years? Okay, you went to hair school for 6 months. Like maybe that's one of those years. You still have 3 years that your buddies are going to college for free. You know, they're having to pay to go to college. This is kind of like you building your clientele, learning, mentorship, apprenticing. That's what you need to do these 3 years is still develop. Like, and you might be able to do it in like 2 or 3 total and not your friends in college are going to 4, but like
Right.
that's the kind of mentality I try to get them into. Like it's not an 8-second TikTok, okay? Like we
Yeah.
gotta put the work in.
Yes, exactly.
That's so true. My sister-in-law actually just graduated from cosmetology school, and she's someone who she's like, I feel like I didn't learn what I needed to learn in order to be successful in cosmetology school. And that's what I've told her. Find a place near you that offers apprenticeships, mentoring, assisting, and just commit to that. Don't think that you're going to come out and have a full schedule like right off the bat. And for her at least, she took that and she's found a salon near her and she's going to learn extensions and
Perfect.
things, working with 2 girls that have been in the business for over 10 years. One of them I actually went to cosmetology school with. And uh, but the instant gratification thing, you're right on point with that. It's a little bit of an illusion, and keeping that mindset of you got to put in the time, you got to put in the personality, learning how to please the clients with their hair, but also the experience of being in a salon.
Yeah.
What it's a whole team.
It's a relationship you're building. You're
Yes.
building relationships, it doesn't happen overnight.
Mhm.
And
Absolutely.
I've noticed with a lot of my new hires, the communication portion is also not there. I think the kids, people, kids, young adults in their early 20s coming up, they are digital nomads at
Yep.
this point. They grew up communicating through screens primarily. And so I am noticing a big shift in the way they're communicating, especially with people so much older than them. When they have clients, it's fine if their clients are around the same age, but when they have a client that's so much older than them, they don't really know how to relate. So I've made a couple of YouTube videos for my team internal training, and then I've just put them on YouTube for other people, but like how to communicate with your client and asking open-ended questions and things like that to where you can really like make it to where it's an experience and you're not just sitting there awkwardly trying to do their hair.
Yeah. When it's awkward, everyone in the salon can tell it's awkward.
Yes.
It's a whole
Definitely.
energy shift. And then their client doesn't end up happy, but it is definitely different because they are so used to like keyboard warrior texting everything. They don't even phone call their friends. So
No.
it is a, no, not at
Yeah.
all.
Can you tell us a bit about the tools and strategies? I mean, just following you on Instagram, talking to you, I can tell you're a very strategic person. You have this analytical brain that puts strategies in order. And so, can you tell me about the tools, strategies that you've implemented into keeping yourself on top of trends, on top of the curve when it comes to um, social media? That's such a huge demanding factor of being a stylist and a salon owner now. It used to mostly just be word of mouth that you would do good hair, clients would recommend you, have a good personality, but now you're,
Have a
having
whole nother job
a whole other
on top of
job.
all the other hats you wear.
Yes.
Yeah.
So tell me some of the strategies that you've implemented to make that a fluid process.
Yeah, for sure. I have this efficiency minded brain. And when I was kind of forced into the salon ownership life, I was like, okay, every salon owner I know is miserable. And if I'm going to do this, I don't want to be miserable. So I was like, I have to go in with this knowing that like I'm not going to be the glue that holds this all together. Like I need to be able to remove myself and everything still operate. And so I just from the beginning was like everything needs to get written down, like systems. We need a SOP, standard operating procedure for everything that we do in the business. So if I'm gone, everybody still knows how to do everything. And so I think from that point forward, I was just like, I'm going to be researching what I can about what's trending, what's new. Um, how to market. I'm just always trying to strive for the best. Like I want to be the best, put in my best. And so that's why I said like 95% of my personality is hair or hair business because you are what you eat and you are what you
Yep.
consume. And that's primarily what I consume, is podcasts and books and leadership. And I'm just like always hungry for what can I do better? What can I learn about this? And so, thankfully, I got this Instagram ad. Okay, well, I'll circle back to the Instagram ad, but leading up to this, I'd always known that like for social media purposes, obviously it's important. Like we have to do this. We got to be on trend. So I would have for my team, I had like a caption bank. So every caption I'd written, every caption some of the other team members had written, I would like copy and paste our captions and put it in a Google Doc. And then they have inspiration to like go off of, make it their own spin on it, just so they got like tone of voice and some ideas going. And so we had that. We had stock images that we had purchased from like Jamie Dana, and then we started taking our own stock images. And so we had all of those kind of resources, and we had like a social media onboarding presentation for our team where we're like expectations, do's and don'ts, kind of some tips and tricks that we would tell the team as they started. That's kind of how we used to do it. Then I got an Instagram ad where it was like for a build your brand conference, and it was in Dallas right next door to me. So I was like, okay, whatever, I'll sign up. I brought a friend, like, let's go to this. And little did I know this couple that was putting on the conference, they actually had a mastermind. And I just felt really called to join their mastermind. And I think I'm like, there's two hairstylists in there out of 100 people. So it's not really hair related. It's more business brand building related, which is cool because I can connect with other industries and kind of see what other people are doing. So that's a way that I keep myself like fresh and updated. Well, the guy in the couple, the husband, he is obsessed with AI, which has then given me a lot of like AI tools, tips, and tricks. And AI is going to change the game. I know some people have already been like going back and forth with Chat GPT, and like we're kind of seeing how that has been really crazy and cool. And so since I've been introduced into all of that, that's more so what we're like putting into work in our salon. On ChatGPT, you can actually build your own bot. And I made two bots, one for internal use and one for external use. They're not live yet. I have to do some coding. And by me, I mean my husband, or I'm going to hire somebody because I'm not going to do the coding. Somebody's going to do the coding and get it on the website. But basically, we trained the bot to read all of our internal documents. So I can feed it the caption bank. I can feed it our employee handbook policies. you know, things like that, tone of voice. I'm even trying to feed it formulas, like
Ooh,
my
that would
favorite
be
formula for
interesting.
this, and this. And like if you write it down on a document, ChatGPT 4 can read the document. So all you have to do is write everything down in a Google Doc, download it as a PDF, send it to Chat, he reads it and stores it. So if you ask it a question, it's pulling off the documents you've already taught him on.
I love that.
That is
So
awesome.
that's what I've been working on. And then we did one for external use, like frequently asked questions that clients have. And then we fed it, like we carry Kevin Murphy and Alpha Parf. So we fed it all of their documents on their shampoos, conditioners, all of that, gave it to ChatGPT. And then so if somebody says, I have fine flat hair, what shampoo should I use? It will like pop up recommendations. So that's kind of what we've been
I
working on
love
in
that.
the
That's
AI
great.
world. And then obviously, I mean, I don't know if it's obvious. I guess it's obvious for me because I've seen it everywhere, but the scripts for caption writing, copywriting, social media prepping, like ChatGPT knows all of that too. So that's been really
Mhm.
helpful with, you know, giving the team content ideas and saying, hey, it's not that hard. Like all you have to do is ask ChatGPT for 30 captions regarding this topic. And, you know, you might have to edit them a little bit so you don't sound like a robot, but for the most part, it gets you going, gets a good idea flowing.
I feel like ChatGPT is like a really good, smart friend that you can just bounce ideas off of, and they're always going to have amazing feedback for you. Like, I really appreciate that. I'll just have something like rambling in my brain, and I'll put it into ChatGPT, and it's like, oh, yes, thank you. Okay, you organized it in a way that I felt like I couldn't, or made it more of a streamline that if I would have spent maybe like 5 hours thinking about it,
Yep.
I would have gotten there. But having that friend to like bounce it off of
Yeah.
makes it just so much simpler. And I'm really,
Yes.
that's so with your internal uh, bot that you're using, is that something that your stylists have access to? Okay.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's
Interesting.
not live yet, but they will have access to it. So like I tried to like efficiency wise, like I get a lot of anything that's repetitive for me. I'm always like, how can I streamline this? So like questions, people will ask me, hey, how do I take time off? I'm like, well, it's in the employee handbook, but I know it's like 20 pages and you probably didn't read it all. So you can ask the chatbot, you know, like things that like maybe because if we're going to scale our operation, we're going to have multiple locations. I cannot be the point of
Yeah.
contact for questions like that. So like how can we make it, and then people have human error, right? So like even if I hire somebody who's a manager who takes over this, like is that going to be effective, or can Chat GPT answer your questions for you reliably every single time, even at 2 a.m.?
I mean, I love that.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yes. That's such an cool implementation for not only salons but other businesses, small businesses, whether it be boutiques, restaurants,
Because
gyms.
I have a manager, but everyone reaches out to me still.
Yeah.
It's still like, they're like, I don't know what it is. I'm like, yeah, they're like, yeah, but I wanted to ask you too. So I love the idea of a chat bot that you can just pass that off to. That would be
Yeah.
great. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
So your salon is commission based as well, right?
Mhm.
Do you have like a scale, or like how do you scale it to where your clients and your not your clients, your stylists feel like they're still growing? Because I feel like I know with the salon I left, I loved it there, but you like met a max, right? Like you couldn't get more than 50% commission, and then you couldn't do X, Y, and Z. So is there something that you've taken and maybe twisted to make sure your stylists are like always feeling like they're not meeting their cap and there's no room for growth within your salon?
Yes, because that was the two problems I found with my first salon was the lack of leadership and culture, and then the
Mhm.
room for long-term growth opportunities. Like they were like, because I'm like, working 4 days a week and making $165,000 a year, like, and I didn't have control over my prices. So like,
Right.
it was like, I'm like, how can I make more money? And they're like, you can do more hair. And I'm like, how sustainable is that? And am I
Exactly.
going to be doing this at 50? Like, I need to. So then I was starting to look in, well, maybe I'll become a Redken artist and maybe I'll join the Summit team and, be a consultant. So I started looking at other careers outside of their company because they didn't have anything for me. So I knew when designing our salon, I was like, that needs to be a part of it. So we stuck with the Summit scale system. So we still do our level system, and our max is 51% commission, but spoiler alert for the people who go out on their own. I mean, if you go out on your own because you want to make more commission of your percentage, you might be able to get 5 or 10% more out of it, but you're working for it. Like, you're placing the orders, you're answering, like, it's not even, it's, you might be able to take home 5 or 10% more, but you are working for it. It's not the per
Yeah,
hour rate.
your
So I
time
tell
is
people,
gone. Where like when you were commissioned and I was, you show up and you leave. And there's
yes,
nothing else. When you're off, you're off. When you're
yeah.
on your own, it's a completely different animal.
Doubly full-time.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so that's what I tell people. I'm like, that's why I wanted to create this system, because I was like, it's not what people think. And so I wanted to create a good, and when you are making, like, when I made $165,000 that year, I paid 55,000 in taxes. So, like, when you get to that point, you end up, there's kind of a restriction cap anyways.
Yep.
And so what I wanted to do was empower my stylists to become their own, have their own business within my business. So we created Maven University, which is our education platform. And that platform will be for our stylists who have a passion in educating. They could host a class or a course or be a consultant, because we feel like what we're doing is really different from a lot of salons, and we want to help other commission salons be better. And so if one of my stylists is really passionate, she's bought into the systems, she's seen its success in her career, that she could be a consultant, a coach, or host a class on our platform and receive commissions off that. But I would pay her as a 1099, like she'd be a contractor for that business,
I
which would
love that.
help her with some tax balancing when you're W-2 versus the 1099. So there'd be a little bit of flexibility there. And then we also have a profit sharing program that Summit introduced us to. So my stylist, once they get to be a level 4, they could actually buy into the company and receive a profit at the end of the year. So, and I think that's really how you have, you can create that salon, because they're ownership of it. Like, they're like, I believe in this. I own part of this. I know that, like, it's not just what's in it for me. It's like, I know that I'm going to benefit. If the team benefits, I benefit at the end of the year. And then we have a vision for multiple salon locations. And I don't want to be the sole salon owner for like 10 mavens.
Yeah.
So I want to empower my stylists. Like, if salon ownership's on your agenda, let me help you. I've got the playbook. Okay. Like, I've got the systems, I got the playbook. I'll have the capital at that point, so I can support this, next location. I just don't want to be the sole one running it. So if I can trust you to place you there,
Mhm.
you run this location, you have ownership over this. That is kind of the long-term career opportunities that we put into place to, like, give people that sense of, like, I'm growing, and an exit strategy, because are we all going to be doing
Yes,
hair at 60 years old?
Right.
exactly. I love that. I actually haven't heard of any salon
No,
that
that's,
actually gives you the opportunity to have ownership. And I love that.
you're definitely a pioneer and an innovator in that realm. I hope you know that that's amazing.
Oh,
Like,
thank
to
you. Well, I
have
can't
that
take
thought.
credit, because Summit is really the one who taught me about the profit sharing, but the multiple locations, that's when I was like, I just don't want to, that's for me, I just don't want to be the sole person
Well,
involved in
and
that.
you
So
can't realistically, like everyone told me that when I opened it, I was like, it'll be fine. And 2 years in, I was like, oh yeah, I can't physically be here all the time. It's just not how it works. And so I definitely had to implement some things and change some things. But it's hard once you have a team that's already used to you being there 24/7 to take a step back. It like freaks everyone out. So luckily, I think we're in a good spot now. But I love the idea
Yeah.
with the salon, and they feel like a sense of pride that where they're working, they're eventually, it's like partly theirs too. So why would they go anywhere else?
yep. Exactly. And so that's what I just wanted to create was like kind of get rid of, I mean, there's always going to be people who want to go booth rental. And I'm not speaking to those people. Like there are some people that are purely like they like to work independently.
Mhm.
That's for them. But I think so many people go booth rental because there's not enough good commission style salons out there. So I just wanted to recreate, like redesign it in a way that like kind of got rid of the reasons, like flexible schedule. I know
Yes.
that was one for me where I was like, why I went to interview at a commission salon when I was trying to move and they're like, you need to work till 9 p.m. 2 nights a week. And I was like, well, nope, not for me. Like, I'm not doing that. So,
Yeah.
things like that, like got rid of that, wanted to give them ownership so that they felt like this is mine. And I tell them like, this is a hair salon built by hairstylists for hairstylists. We have a mission. Our mission is to level up the beauty industry. We have something bigger than just us that we're working towards. And I think that's gotten everybody bought into it. And so then they're like, okay, we're working towards something. And I always tell them like ideas are welcome. Like I want this is a collaborative effort. We're all of our brains working together is much better than just my brain. And I have blind spots. I'm a human. Like there's some things that I don't realize. So like everybody's voices need to be heard. Y'all speak up. We encourage that. We
Mhm.
encourage accountability. And then we just run things through and test them. And so we have like a whole systems book that I tell people I want to be buried with because it's like my pride and joy. I'm like, I have everything in the business from like, I mean, we have everything written down in the systems book, and then we do a systems audit where we go through, me and my leadership team will go through and we say, is this working? Is it not working? And I invite people to that meeting. Like, if you want to come do a systems audit with us and you have something to say, or you don't like the way this is being done, like pop into the meeting. This is when we're going to review this section. And we can make it better, refine it, test it, see how it goes. And then we can, once we get it all shored up, we're going to, put it out into the world and help other salons, give them the playbook, hey, we've done the work, we've done the testings, here you go, because we've had over 160 applications in the last like year and a half to work at our salon. We're
Wow.
like, people are knocking down the doors to work with us, and we can't take them all. And I know so many people, if they don't get into the right environment or they have a
Mhm.
bad experience, they'll quit doing hair. And that's heartbreaking to me because it's such a good industry for people to be in. We just need the next generations of salons to step up and be seen
Yeah.
and attract those stylists to them so that we can keep the industry alive and well.
So I'm curious, I mean, obviously you have so many systems and things that you're implementing, but how do you keep that teamwork
Spark.
spark alive? How do you keep them motivated? I mean, you alone are a very like motivating person. I'm sure that translates every single day, but do you do team activities or is it's just a part of the culture and it just happens? Tell me how you keep that teamwork alive.
For sure. Well, it doesn't just happen. I'll tell you that. And I think as humans, we all tend to slip into the path
Mhm.
of least resistance, just like you were in your own suite. Like it's great to be on your own if you've been in a toxic environment because you're like, "Ugh, I can take a breath. Like I'm responsible for just me. I don't have to worry about these other people, in my way." But then start slipping. Nobody's holding you accountable to go to classes. Nobody is, get refreshing your energy with like new ideas and creativity. And so we start slipping. And I think, I've had my business now for since 2019 is when I went on my own, but we've been a salon like in our own building now for just a year. And so this is the first time I've ran a team of 12. And then when we hire another, it'll be my first time of running a team of 13. And every time that we grow, the more we grow, the more I learn about how to keep it and what, like when we were smaller, it was much easier to keep everybody on the same page. And now that we're growing, we're open 7 days a week. Not everybody works together. And we're finding it harder and harder to like come together as a group. And I think that is the most important thing for us. So I think the key things, like the most basic things that you need to do to keep the culture alive and well and everybody motivated and happy is the touch points with the owner or manager of having a monthly one-on-one, and I do it for an hour. I know that that's probably not super scalable, but I do find that really important because every time I have a touch point with one of my teammates, it always feels like I've reconnected with them and they know that I'm here to support them and their goals, that they're not just like worker bees in my salon. And so that's really helpful. And then we do our monthly team meetings, and it's a 2-hour team meeting. Like it is like no joke. It's not just like me running through a list of like do 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 do. It's like I have a presentation. We talk about our past numbers, we talk about our future goals, and I kind of like vision cast because I think as that's what keeps people inspired as the owner of like, this is the direction we're going. We're not just on a hamster wheel here. We're making progress together and casting that vision for them of like, this is what's on the docket this year or this quarter. This is the project we're working on. You know, we have an education team and a social media team within our salon. And, you know, I'll be like, I'll have our director of education stand up and she'll give a little, you know, presentation about what she's working on this year and if anybody wants to help or, you know, what that looks like in the social media team. Hey, this is the direction we're moving. We're going to try this. And, you know, and so I think that kind of keeps everybody really like engaged in what's going on behind the scenes, what we're working with, what we envision, and like what we see for the future. And then we do a lot of team bonding events. So I have a director of fun at the salon.
Oh, I love
And
that.
yes,
Are these
and
directors also
she,
stylists, like your director of education,
yes.
social media? Okay.
Yeah, and what I did is I just told them like, because I'm like, I don't want to be the gum that holds this whole thing together. So
Right.
I need to make sure everybody has a role. And I didn't force anybody to have a role. It's more so like, hey, I really see that you have a passion for educating. You have a passion for like mentoring. I think that you'd be a great director of education. Do you want to take on this role? We have a green queen who loves all things sustainability. And so she does the recycle program that we have. You know, ships off all the boxes, all of that kind of stuff. And then the director of fun, she's just like a lighthearted, funny person. And so I was like, I think you'd be great to celebrate birthdays, anniversaries, plan team bonding events, you know, Christmas parties, things like that. And so when we do our team bonding, that always feels really great that like everybody gets together, we hang out, we go do something fun. And I think that kind of helps us like reconnect with each other, recharge. And it's not just like, because we'll get into that routine of like work, 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 work.
Yeah.
And it can kind of slip into that. And then also, you gotta let the bad apples go.
Mhm.
And that is probably the hardest one to implement. All the other things are kind of fun and joyous, but I think that's what was happening with my first salon is that she was not confrontational and wasn't willing to either coach it out of them or let them go, and didn't realize how poisonous that was to the team. When you have one person in the back room that's complaining, it like trickles. And so you have to know when to cut the cord and make that hard decision. I think that's like part of salon ownership. People don't see like they see the salon owner like driving a G-Wagon and like, you know, pulling up to work and you're like, oh, it's a salon owner. But it's like, yeah, but then we have to make really hard decisions like that that affects people's livelihoods, but like it's for the greater good of the team.
Yeah.
And knowing when is the right time to do that. So we do a 90-day trial period for all of our stylists, and that's really like the tryouts. And we do an evaluation at the end of it. That way it's like, we're not committing to you just yet. Cause it's kind of crazy that we ask somebody to be a part of our business, but after meeting them twice, like maybe a couple interviews or a shadow day. And it's like, we don't really get to like really know them before we like commit to them. And so that's when we kind of make some movement around and say, hey, we're only looking for 100% fits for
Yeah.
this. You know,
We do a
we're
90
not looking for
day,
18%.
we do a 90-day trial period as well. And I know this is probably not what most people do, but I tell my staff, like, I need your opinion on them
Yep.
because you're going to be working with them more than me. And I don't want, because we have such a good close-knit group right now, like I can't have a weird energy or work ethic messing with everything. And so far they've been real honest. It's like takes like 2 days, honestly. And they're like,
Yeah.
nope, nope. And it's hard to tell someone like, you seem really nice, but it's not, there's something not there, you know? I think that's always like a part of my heart feels so guilty because I
Yeah.
want everyone to like, you know, be a part of it and like grow and do all of these things. But it's so true that one bad apple or negative energy just ruins, even for clients. And I think that was a big lesson for me was I thought some of like the bad energy was only seen by the team, but your clients feel it. And they're not even they're that stylist clients, like the entire energy is shifted. And like when people were leaving and stuff, my clients were like, oh, and I'm like, oh my God. I thought it was just, internally we knew the vibe, but that's not true at all.
Yeah, it's contagious and it affects so much things when you have that bad energy around.
You don't want to be like cliquish, but you almost kind of have to
No,
like form your own little like safe haven clique of, you know, of good energy,
Right. And
which
it's
is a good clique to be a part of.
yeah, I mean it's just good fit or bad fit. It's
right.
like it's not that you're not a good hairstylist. And I ran into that because it's
Exactly.
like I want to help people. And so I would like hire somebody because I'm like, I want to help you. And I would like kind of make it work or make excuses for them because I'm like, well, I know they're having a hard time at home, or I know that they're
So
a single
empathetic,
mom
all
and
of
I really
us.
want them to be
Yeah.
like I
The
want
best
them to
version
be
that
the
you know
best.
they can be. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I'll hold on to them, and then I realized the effects of that later are more tumultuous than it is by just cutting the cord right away. And so I tell like we have all of our stylists evaluate, they send in an evaluation for the person on the 90 days, and it's anonymous, and they send in an evaluation and they grade them that way. Yeah, because like you said, like I don't work with them as much as y'all will, and I want you to have a say in who comes on our team and how that works. And so it gives me a good opportunity to say, have that, hey, this is what you were graded. It's not just like a feeling that we feel like you're not
Right.
a good fit. Like this is how it was graded, this is how you were scored. And they know the rubric that they're being graded on from the beginning. And so it's like, I just don't think our values align, or I don't think, um, I hope that you've learned a lot while you were here for 90 days. I hope we taught you stuff, and I hope you can take this and run with it and be a better hairstylist after leaving us. But I just don't think, we're going to be a good fit, a good match.
I love that idea.
Yeah, that's really smart.
I like it.
So more into a personal level, maintaining all the things that you do, are there daily practices, mindful practices that you do that you can share that maybe other salon owners, business owners can learn from?
For sure. So I would say I've been on a journey, and I think most people in their early 20s go through this like period of like figuring out who they are kind of thing. And especially as an entrepreneur and then a leader, you really have to be like the best version of yourself. You don't want to lead people astray, or, you know, have some of your past traumas kind of come up as you're dealing with, more vulnerable situations. So for me, I used to be like a worry wart. Like I would tell people, I'm just a worry wart. Like I just worry all the time. I'm just an anxious person. Like that's just me. And then I started reading self-help books. I started going to therapy, and that really helped. Like both of those things really helped. And then for me, what really worked was just finding a faith practice. So, whatever the faith looks like for other people, but like knowing that there was like for me, it was like the Bible is the truth that holds things down for me. So I can like rest assured knowing that I don't have to know everything. For some people, it's the universe or astrology, like whatever it is for you, but like having some sort of like, this is truth and I'm not questioning everything, helped me kind of like nail reality down for me a little bit. And so that really helped me transform. I was actually reading some of my old journals, which I tell everybody, like, you should journal, because especially during your entrepreneurship journey, like you're going to forget how you felt. And so I was reading some of my old journals where I was just like frustrated. I felt like I was barely keeping my head above water. And so I put some things into practice. I really like habit stacking, where you attach it to an existing habit. And so for me, I had stairs that would go up and down to work too. And when I would go down the stairs, I'd tell affirmations and my gratitude. And that really helped me just like change my mindset where like I'm here to like make a woman feel her best today. I'm here to like, provide the best work environment for my team. I'm here to make somebody's day. I'm here to make a difference. Like all of that type of stuff, to where it kind of shifted my mindset to be more positive, more, release some of that like anxiety. Is just like I felt like I didn't have control, and then releasing that. And so
You
I would
probably felt
say
more present when you stepped into the situation too, after going through all of that.
That's something that
for sure.
I've certainly encountered. I'm a uh, worrywart in a sense. I'm constantly like checking, making sure that all the that I's are dotted, T's are crossed, and you can get so burnt out. And the thing that has made the biggest difference for me is journaling, gratitude journaling, the awareness of being in this moment right now, looking at the positive, really checking in with the reality of the situation, not letting your mind get ahead and form these
Mhm.
things that may not even happen. So just having that grounding moment, and especially, I mean, any business, but I feel just walking into a salon where you never know what can be thrown at you. Someone could sit in your chair and anything can come from it. So to just fully be in that present moment and to be in a positive space for me has made the biggest difference in my career and in my life.
Yeah, the book Everything is Figure Outable really helped me, because by Marie Forleo, because it was like anything that comes to me, any situation that arises, I'm confident that I'm going to figure it out. Like whatever happens, I'll make it work. I have resources, I can call people, I can, like I will make sure that I figure out the situation. And I think that gave me a lot of confidence moving forward, to be like, things are going to come up, fires are going to happen,
Yeah.
but like the person who succeeds is the person who like gets back up after they've been knocked down and figures out what went wrong, how can I do it better in the future. And I think admitting that to my team too, that there's sometimes where I'm like, y'all, I messed up, I'm so sorry, like I'm not perfect. Hey, this went wrong, let's fix it. Hey, I didn't account for this was a new situation, let's move through this together. And admitting when, we've made a mistake, and just trying to be better moving forward. So I think those are some of the things I put into place to like help. But I will say this, last year when I was building the salon, um, and I also at the same time, because I'm a psycho person, decided to open up an Airbnb at the same in the
Mm.
same year.
So you had
Um,
TV show, salon, building, and Airbnb. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And like maintaining your clientele or relationships or whatever.
No
yeah.
big
Well,
deal.
really, it was like Airbnb and then the salon in 2022. And then 2023 was like having the first year open and the TV show. So really it was like a 2-year span. But I totally let go of my health in those 2 years. I gained like 30 pounds. I was not taking care of myself. I wasn't really taking care of, like, thankfully my husband's just really supportive. And so he didn't mind my absentness. Like he was like, I mean, I'm sure he was like, oh, I'd love to spend more time with you, but it wasn't like a strife or, conflict within our marriage. But like I lost, I didn't spend a lot of time with my parents or friends or, things like that. And so this year I've reclaimed it. I'm like, I am choosing my health. I'm going to work out. Like I have to be able to put myself first and pour into my cup to be the best leader moving forward. And I think I caught myself being a little bit resentful, where I'm like, I'm putting my everything into this and then, you might have the one stylist that says one comment one time, and you're like, but I'm putting my everything into this. And she's like, I didn't ask you to put your everything into this, like I
Yeah.
can't sacrifice some of those things like my health for them. Like I have to prioritize that first. So that's like a newer thing this year, where I'm like, hey, I'm going to put my phone on do not disturb and I'm going to the gym. So like whatever fire that is happening, it can be handled after this hour. Like I'm not going to be on speed dial for this. Like I'm going to work out, I'm going to eat healthy, and all of that kind of stuff. So that's a newer thing.
Well, and then those fires are able to be put out much more efficiently and much more positively when you're coming from a better place personally. Like you said, you can't pour into a cup that is coming from an empty cup.
Exactly. Yes.
I think the last thing that I want to ask is, what is it that inspires you about your current staff? I feel like a lot of, in the salon world, in ownership of businesses, it's easy to get caught up in the things that aren't going right, blah, blah, blah. But I would like to hear something that inspires you about the staff that you currently have.
Yeah, this is a good question because anytime I feel myself slipping into like, there's too many fires or like I'm being run thin, I always have to go back or like anytime you get your heart broken, I always have to go back to what is my why? And my why is to help hairstylists have their best career, build them up, and show them a different, really elevate the industry as a whole. And so I kind of go back to that. And I've had one stylist who I got to meet her parents fairly recently, and her parents were like, you totally turned her like whole perspective around. I've never seen her this motivated. Like she's a whole different person after working with you. And that to me, I go back to that story where I'm like, okay, this is why. Like I'm doing this because I'm making an impact in these people's lives. And she like 2.5 times her income from last year to this year. And so that's been really cool to watch her just like, rocket ship out of there. I had one stylist who went to hair school with like a coworker that we had in when we were in a booth rental space, and that stylist came up to me and she was like, if y'all parted ways tomorrow, you've forever changed her life. Like she was voted like least likely to succeed in hair school. Like she didn't show up to class, she didn't
Wow.
show up ready to do hair. Like she was not going to be like nobody thought she was going to be anything in the hair world, and like you've changed her life. And so that to me is something where I just refer back to those moments of like, I had one stylist tell me that she has never stayed at a job longer than a year. And she was like, I couldn't imagine like this was, she had her year anniversary. She's like, I just couldn't imagine being anywhere else. Like I've never been, so involved and bought into something before where I've like respected it and wanted to be a part of it. So that's kind of what inspires me to like keep going and like kind of get rid of the junk that's in there and say, okay, this is why, this is what we're focusing on. Junk is going to come, the fires are
Yeah,
going to come. It's going to be uncomfortable at times, but like that's what keeps me like pushing forward.
I love that.
Mhm.
So there's one other question that I don't know that you prepped her for. So we are asking everybody. So of course we're going to ask you, but since you're a hairstylist, it can go either way. What's like your one traumatic hair horror story? So either behind the chair or was done to you prior to you being a hairstylist.
Okay, so luckily, I mean, yeah, I guess I don't think I have much of a horror story for my personal like hair because I was very protective over
You were smart.
my hair.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, no, we're
No,
not
no.
gonna play. I mean, in hair school, I turned a girl's hair green. Like that will ever be like solidified as like,
See,
oh
yeah.
my gosh, that's scary. Um, but like we put some red on it and it was fine. You just couldn't see the highlight work we did, so like, but it wasn't green. So that's cool.
That's
I
all
would
that
say
matters.
I did have this one client who, she's like the Karen's mom. She
Okay.
like birthed the Karen. Okay, she's
Yes,
the
yes.
originator of Karen.
The ultimate
And
Karen.
What do we call that name?
yes, exactly. Well, her name really aligns with it, but I don't want to say her name
Yeah.
Yeah, no, don't do
publicly.
that.
But yeah, her name really, but it does make sense. I'll have to tell you off air. But um, she she was like one of those. She got me when I was like 17, 18, because that's when I got my license. So I like really wasn't confident in myself too yet, and like she could sniff it out. And
Mm.
so she really like took advantage of me, and to the point where, and I'm pretty good with like difficult people. But like to the point where my coworkers would be like, "Are you okay?" Like she would just grab the flat iron out of my hand and like do her own bangs. One time she picked the scissors up off my tray and cut her own
Mm-mm.
hair.
No.
Hmm.
The mother of all Karens
Yes.
would.
Yes.
How did you
Yes.
handle that?
I just was like, I
Froze.
froze. I'm like, I don't even, is this happening right now? Like, is this happening? Like, what? I'm like, I was like, girl, you can't touch my scissors. Those are $1,400. Like, if you want
Mm-mm.
to cut your own hair with your own scissors at home,
That's
have at
fine.
it.
Yes.
And
Mm-mm.
then after that, she would tell people I'm no longer allowed to cut her bangs, like would openly tell like my residents that I would have working with me that I'm not allowed to cut her bangs because I cut them too short once. So like she was just like she was pretty remember that video that went viral, the Robin
Yes.
video, where the girl like swung at
Yes. Oh
the
yeah. Oh
hairstylist, like
yes.
she,
I remember this. You've definitely
yeah,
seen it. Yes. She's like in a suite almost, it looks like, and it's her and like her assistant. And
yeah.
Oh
yes.
my goodness.
And that video was the reason I started putting up cameras in my suite because I was like, if it's gonna be anybody, it's Karen's mom, and she will swing. Like I'm like, she's the one. I
Okay, so is
finally
Karen's
ended
mom
up.
still a client or did you like, yeah, yeah.
I
Moving
finally
on.
had to grow a pair and fire her because I was like, she would always complain about my prices, and I'm like, yeah, that's the point. Like my prices go up, so people shed down to my team. Like I can't work
Mhm.
4 or 5 days a week anymore and run the business. So I will keep raising my prices until enough people shed down to the team and I can
Right.
work. Now I just work 1 day a week behind the chair. And um and so I passed her down to somebody else and I prepped the girl. I was like, listen, we all know about her. She's a little cuckoo. I think you can handle her, but like, don't let her smell fear. So like she got me, she already crossed boundaries before I was
Right.
prepared. So like take her, just know you have to kind of just hand it right back to her. Like don't cower down. And she did really well for a little bit. And then we had a stylist leave and the Karen's mom came in and was like, "Oh, I saw so and so left. You think she could do my hair?" And I was
Yep.
like, "Actually, yes. She could totally do your hair.
Here's her
Absolutely.
phone
I
number.
bet."
I'll make the appointment
Yeah,
for you.
yeah. I was like, I bet she still remembers your formula. I was like, "Here you go. Bless and release." And we
Oh
haven't
my
seen her
gosh,
since.
I love that.
That's
Yes.
great. Love when those opportunities just fall right into place.
Yes,
Oh,
yeah. At
that's
first, I
so
was a
good.
little offended of like, "Oh, you're gonna go somewhere else," and then I was like, "Oh, actually,
Who am I
yes.
kidding?
Perfect.
Be
Thank
my
you.
guest. Have
Yes.
fun." Yeah.
See you later. Awesome. Well, I know you have a lot of really exciting things coming up this year. Is there anything you want to plug? Tell people where they can find you and stay in touch, see what you're up to this year.
Yes, so I'm really working on getting my YouTube like consistently out there. I really want to put a lot of good information value onto my YouTube. But you can find everything on my Instagram. It's at Whitkilpat, WHITKILPAT. I've linked everything there. I am working on a hiring ebook right now. That's like my biggest project. I'm launching it next week, actually a week from today. And that is like my whole hiring system outlined everything, Google Forms, application forms, interview questions, like everything to attract social media tips to attract like your ideal stylist. I'm launching that. So that'll be my first like offer I'm putting out there. Oh, we got our friend Rue. Um,
Oh gosh.
Okay.
Oh,
I
I
I
love
made
the
it through
dogs,
almost.
but
yes.
some things are
Oh, yes.
unavoidable.
Oh, yes. So that's kind of what's up in the air right now, or what I'm working on these days is the ebook. And then I'm just working on downloading my brain, everything we've done, putting it into like courses, ebooks, things like that to really help other salon owners do what we're doing if that aligns with their, values and mission and things like that.
I love that so much. We'll be following for sure. So
Yes.
Of
Thank
course. And
you.
I'm headed that way. I know I told Jessica, but I'll
Yes.
be in y'all's neck of the woods at the end of the month. So we might have to connect.
yes, grab a coffee as most stylists do,
Yes.
or tequila, either way.
Yeah, honestly.
Right. Yeah. Either way. Yeah. I'm down for whichever.
Well, thanks so
Awesome.
much for joining us.
Yes, thank you so much.
Of course. It was great.
I think a lot of your information is going to be super helpful, not only for owners of salons, but owners of other businesses, stylists who maybe have the inkling that they want to move into a commissioned salon and see what that's all about. So, so grateful for you and your wealth of knowledge, super inspiring. Congratulations on your salon and all of the success that has been coming your way. It's absolutely 100% deserved, and you're killing it.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Right back at you guys. I see y'all are on, I feel like we're on the same mission. We're working for the same
We're
thing.
trying,
So I'm
right?
glad. Yes, I'm glad to have found you guys and we can kind of support each other on that journey.
Absolutely. I love that. Well, we'll talk to you soon, Whitney. Thanks for joining us.
Okay. Thanks.
Thank
Bye,
you.
guys.
Bye.